Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So I thought today, in the spirit of New Year's Eve, I would give some predictions for 2022. So I thought we'd go through some of them. Lots of good things happening. Of course, there's going to be some negative things. We can't prevent that. But I just thought, we would go through and just take a look at some of these things that Spirit's been telling me is going to be unfolding in 2022. And, just a shout out to all my members. We had a blast with the Ra channeling. The Ra Collective answered so many questions about the pandemic. That's what you guys wanted to know. So that's what, because if you go to any of my live channelings, you're allowed to ask questions. And so, yeah, Rahasha answered a lot of questions about that. And Archangel Gabriel, too, I think, for the angelic members, the top tier, really, I think, gave a real strong message of hope for 2022 and brought you through a really nice meditation to help you get your focus on for the coming year. So, and I still keep getting asked how you join. I don't know how else to explain it. You go to my YouTube homepage. It's not my website. It's a YouTube membership, and you join from there. Same thing with all of the questions I keep getting about upgrading. You upgrade from there too. So I get about 1,000 emails a month. I do my best to answer them, but you're probably better off asking either following the directions that's there, because the link is below every one of my videos, or just asking someone who's tech savvy, or just Googling the answer, because you do need to be on a laptop computer. I can do it on my iPhone. It's not going to work so good on an iPad, though. That I can tell you. So let's get into it. So with the pandemic, like I've said, I don't really see it going away. But one thing that I do see, first of all, is more reliable and accessible home testing kits. Because let's face it, those, lines are just going on for miles, right, to get tested. In my town, we have one pharmacy that is doing the test. And so I had to wait for days to get a test. There was no home kits to be bought. And so I do see that getting a lot better. I do see a 4th booster shot. So I know not all of you have gotten the 3rd, but I do see a 4th one later on in 2022. I think these shots are going to have like a shelf life of like 4 to 6 months. I do see more mutations with it. I don't think it's going to stop. And I don't think you have to be psychic to predict that, simply because that is just what viruses do, right? So let's just take a look at the pandemic. Let's see what the cards have to say. Let's see what else Spirit can add to it. Another thing too that I see is a pill that you can take at home. I keep getting shown a pill, and it's a pill that you could take at home to help shorten and lessen the symptoms. So like shorten the amount of time that you would have the virus, and make the symptoms, one jumped out, and make the symptoms a little bit less. So yeah. Okay. Let me just finish shuffling here. So pandemic 2022, let's see. Okay. Oh, interesting. So I do think things are going to get better. Like we're kind of stuck in this stage where we're at right now, right? Where, flights are being canceled and New Year's Eve parties are, being canceled and all of that. But the cards are saying, yeah, but you're looking at a whole year. Okay. So, like I've told you before, there's going to be lulls and there's going to be these spikes, right? So right now we're in a spike, but then we'll be back into a lull again. So the card that jumped out is the card of drastic change, the Knight of Wands. So that tells me things are going to change, right? So things are going to get better. When I look at the other cards, because drastic change can go either way, but the cards are actually pretty positive. The obstacle is, I don't know if we're going to do a true quarantine, but I think we're getting the Hermit, because we're going to have to go back within again. I think for one, a lot more places are going to demand to see the vaccination card, restaurants, theaters, even for like domestic flights. I think we're heading in that direction. But also too, I think for a bit, they're going to be suggesting to stay, away from others, in large gatherings, indoors, that kind of thing. So we have a lot more truth to find out. So this is like a year of discovery when it comes to this virus. And there's going to be some things that we're going to be hearing. We are heading towards smoother waters, though. And, for me, this is also a card of traveling. So there's going to be points in this year where we can safely travel again. Something happens where this cycle starts to end, which is good news, right? I don't know how permanent it's going to be because, like I told you, I see this kind of going out for a few years, but we'll be ending one cycle. And I think what's part of that cycle is having to do the true quarantines, shutting everything down. I think we're going to be ending that and trying to get more people to get vaccinated and, wear masks and all of that sort of thing. And then I get the card of victory and triumph and leadership. So, I think it's going to end up being okay ultimately, especially during the lulls. But yeah, right now we're having a spike, but ultimately, I really feel like the scientists are doing a lot of work on this. I've seen that some of you have asked me about the cruise industry, and I think they're going to take a hit. I think it would take a lot for most of us to get on a cruise ship at this point. I mean, it's kind of like they say, they were petri dishes before, but I took a cruise many years ago and it was fine. I didn't get sick. But let's take a look at the cruise industry because I do think they're going to take a hit in 2022. But once again, as things start to get better, when we have that lull, if you can run out and get on a cruise then, that would be the time. But let's take a look. Yeah, look at the first card I get. The card of poverty, the card of like losing it all, right? 5 of Pentacles. So yeah, they're going to take a hit. They could even have some legal battles. So that's interesting, because the Page of Swords to me is a card of like legal battles. So yeah, I think that's going to change. But then again, here we go. We get the card of drastic change. So things start to look up again. So that tells me, okay, it's not permanent. People will be able to get together again, 2 of Cups. And then they start to experience some prosperity again. So I think over the next few months, it's going to be, difficult. But then I think we're in for that lull again. And, things will look up for the cruise line industry. I also think that this coming year, 2022, is the year that 45 is held accountable. This is when we start seeing all those court cases on TV that I've been talking about. I think that January 6th committee is not good for him. It's good for us. It's good for justice. It's good for all of that, but I don't think it's so good for him. So let's take a look at 45 in 2022. Okay, first card I get, the card of anxiety, stress, worry. Okay, so, literally having nightmares, not being able to sleep at night, right? So, okay, he's going to be having a tough time. Why? Because he's getting news that he doesn't want to get. This is a Page of Wands. He's going to be getting news that he would rather not hear. He is, how many times have I gotten this card for him? He is going to be brokenhearted. He has 3 swords through the heart. He is not going to like this. And then I get one of my cards for the U.S. Justice will prevail. It's just that it's taking us longer than what we want. It's not going to be easy. We're going to be like this character fighting everybody alone on a hill, and that's how I think 45 is going to be feeling. Because I also see his allies, his cohorts, really flipping on him. And his strength, his courage, his patience is all going to be tested in this coming year. And here he is feeling like a victim, feeling like his hands are tied, like there's nothing he can do. because the truth is coming out. Here's the Sword of Truth. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough year for him, for sure. So as we all just heard the other day, Ghislaine, I won't say her last name because I know how these algorithms work, but you know who Ghislaine is, was found, guilty on 5 of the 6 counts. And so I guess the only question is, what is she going to do? Okay. I know that she'll have a sentencing and all of that. I understand that. But I also think behind the scenes, she's going to be presented with a choice. Because think of the knowledge and the power that she still has. She can take down some very rich, powerful people. She has that knowledge. And, I think there's no easy out for her, because if she gives up that knowledge, her life's in danger. If she doesn't, she's going to be in jail. So let's see if we can glean something from Spirit about what it is she's going to do in 2022. She has such like a nasty, disgusting energy to go into. Some people are just evil, and thank goodness there's not a lot of them, but she certainly is, isn't she? So first card, Sword of Truth. Okay, so there's going to be things that we will never, ever know. Yes, there's going to be more truths coming out, which makes me think she's going to spill the beans quietly behind the scenes, okay? Because I do see, I don't know if these trafficking rings will ever completely end, like anytime soon, but I do feel like this is sending a message, and there's going to be less of them in the coming year. Her obstacle, she can't walk away. There is no walking away from this. There isn't. She may want to go off into the night like this character, but she can't. She literally can't. Why? This is the only card in the deck that only has children. And think about what she's done. This makes so much sense. However, she's going to try to take some power and some control back. So I think she's going to make counter offers. She's going to play some games. That's what I think she's going to do. And what does this all have to do with? Well, pages represent children. And this is making money off of the backs of children. So, I think, see, and then I get the Queen of Swords. As I go further out, it's kind of all saying the same thing. So like more legal issues, because this certainly isn't her, right? Because the Queen of Swords is someone who's fair and balanced and moral and ethical. And yeah, so it's not her. She is cold and calculating though, right? The Queen of Swords can be cold and calculating. But I think in this case, this has to do with legal issues. And so I'm going to say it's not truly over for her. Even if we think it is, even if we don't hear anything, I think there's going to be offer after offer with her. And, she just has too much information. She has too much information. An interesting message that I got from Spirit, and I don't know exactly how to explain it, but there's going to be an improvement with scanning machines. So something that's better than, say, an MRI or a PET scan or a CT scan, something that's better, okay? Something that can see even better into the human body or even animal bodies, right? But something that is better than what we have, that there's going to be improvements and breakthroughs in that area, which will help with early detection and will help to, find out what's going on with people before it becomes a real problem. So I do see something going on with scanning machines. I've gotten that from the Ra a few times. I also see an improvement in animal rights, both domestic animals and farmed animals. I think this is going to be a year of more like meatless Mondays and I just saw in Texas, it's going to become illegal in 2022 to chain your dog up outside. So I think this is going to be a year where we see animals start to get treated better. If for no other reason, we have to stop these zoonotic diseases, right? It's killing us as a world. Some of you have asked me this, and I know from watching the video, because I never remember what I channel, I always have to watch it back. With the Raw Collective, somebody had asked about, the young people in the future. And, one thing that the Raw has said is, we're going to be getting a lot more scientists. First of all, because these kids are seeing how many people don't believe in science. They don't understand how to use a microscope, how to look at something. Not everything can be seen with the naked eye. Certainly this virus cannot be. But I also think we're going to have this whole generation of young people who's not going to tolerate a lot of the old systems and structures that we have been dealing with, for decades or centuries, even in a lot of cases. And so I think we're going to have a lot of very well educated, but also compassionate young people. And I think we're going to start to see that in 2022. I also see that the tide is going to start to turn towards racial equality in the US. It's not going to be fixed overnight. You're still going to hear stories on the news, but you're going to start to see better laws in place, more law enforcement actually being prosecuted when they do something wrong. I'm really starting to see that is a corner that we're turning. Okay. It doesn't mean we're doing a total turn. I'm not saying that. I wish I was saying that, but I'm not. So let's take a look at that, at racial equality in the US in 2022. Okay. Okay, this is how I feel, a lot of people have been feeling in this country. This character, 10 swords in the back. They've been betrayed. And we have betrayed people that have any skin color in this country, right? It has not been good for them. It hasn't been easy for them. And this is how they're feeling. And the obstacle is, this is almost to me, like Lady Justice here. With her eyes with a blindfold so she can't see anything of what's going on. But, also too, victimizing people. And, unfortunately, it did take some of them to become martyrs and to become household names for things to happen. There's going to have to be new strategies, new assessments. And this is also a card of you reap what you sow. And so we need to start sowing better seeds, right? Which means we need better laws. But there's been, conflicts of ideas and thoughts. The reason that there's 5 different colored shirts here is because it stands for 5 different thought systems, 5 different ideas and values, belief systems, that sort of thing. And they're all clashing. But look, we end up being content and happy and proud. And that's what I'm seeing. Like I said, please don't write to me saying, oh, it's not going to happen overnight. No, it's not going to happen overnight. I know it's not going to happen overnight. But do I think we're going to start to get better laws and better results from, the judicial system? I do, actually. I do. That's something that I actually do see getting better. I think there's going to be a continued effort to suppress women's rights. I do see that. I don't think it's going to be successful. I think, a lot of people are going to try. I don't know if you're aware of what's going on in New Hampshire, but they are actively right now trying to suppress women's right to choose and all of that. And you wouldn't expect that from a New England state. So, we're seeing them try to do this, but I don't see it long lasting and having an effect overall. I think it's going to be something that is rather short-lived. I'd rather it didn't happen. But let's take a look at women's rights in the U.S. in 2022, okay? Okay. Okay, this is nice. It's an ace. Aces are about new beginnings. And this is, a fertile new beginning. That wand isn't dead. There's green leaves growing off of it. And so, yeah, I think it's going to get better. The obstacle is we're kind of stuck in our ways. We've kind of been doing things the same way, having these same ideologies. And so, yeah, that's been our, overall issue. But then look at this, Wheel of Fortune. So starting to have a turning point, coming into like our karmic destiny and fate and, things really changing, and then celebrating a milestone. So I do think women's rights are going to be under attack, but I think in the long run, it's going to be fine. I don't see it being permanent or, it's just something that apparently we need to go through. And however, I'm not too concerned about it because I keep seeing into the future where it's just not an issue. So, I think I sort of just feel like the Republican Party's dying. And so they just need to do something. And so they're just picking, this issue. And yeah. In terms of the weather, because I know you guys like to ask me a lot about the weather, and I'm still saying we're going from 3rd to 4th density. Please note that I'm not talking about dimensions because I get comments about that all the time. I'm not talking about dimensions. We'd be going into the 5th dimension, but I teach the law of one from the Rock Collective. So we're going from 3rd to 4th, and planets have their own consciousness and they also go from one density to the next. And so the planet's going to be purging itself as we are purging ourselves. I mean, how many of you in the last year or so have let go of toxic people, negative people, bad workplaces? I mean, as a country, we have let go of toxic workplaces, right? How many people have left, these workplaces that are not there for their highest good? And, or a lot of them, they're not leaving. Instead, they're striking and, they're making things better. But, the earth is doing the same thing. It's purging itself. So we're going to have like volcanoes and earthquakes and fires and I think it's planet wide. I don't see it as just being this country or that country or no, I mean, and I think the global warming is real. Here it is, December in New England. And I have not yet have to put on gloves or winter boots. The geese have not flown south. Please take that in for a minute. For any of you who are northerners, our geese have not flown south. Literally outside my house here, the forsythia is in bloom. I have the yellow forsythia blooming. I have flowers. It's December, almost January. In New England. That shouldn't be happening. And I live right on the ocean, so it's like the colder part even. And so, the earth is going through a lot right now. Let's see what the earth has to say. Let's see what's going on with that. I mean, by now, I'm usually layering up all my clothes, and here I am in a blouse. I'm literally in a blouse in December. And normally, especially being in a big house like this, it's drafty. I'd be wearing a sweater with like a t-shirt underneath, and nope. We did get a dusting, though, of snow on Christmas Eve. It was perfect. It was just like this little dusting. But even then, it actually wasn't cold. I haven't had to take out like my big winter coat or... Oh gosh. So the justice card. Okay. Yeah. First of all, we need to make better laws, don't we? We need to actually, stop just talking about these things and start doing something. And maybe to some degree, where I'm asking the earth what's going on, the earth is saying she wants justice. The obstacle is that things are going too fast right now. Things are speeding up. The timeline that we're in, it's like things are speeding up. We're heading towards that next density. Things are changing and we're not making the laws and doing what we need to do to change with it. But there are new opportunities coming, better opportunities. So that gives me some hope with lawmakers, but it's going to be a legal battle. And what's it all about? Money. You know, so often when I do these readings, it really shouldn't come down to this. And it's interesting that I'm talking about global warming and I literally just get the sun card. So yeah, we're a little too hot. It is affecting people, but I think it's also going to have an effect on families and their money too. So, you know, it's not cheap what we're going through. Like my electricity bill was kind of crazy this year, you know, having to run the air conditioning, you know, into like October. We don't do that here. So, you know, it is interesting, but, you know, obviously things need to change. They need to get better and they will. But another thing that I see getting better is that whole supply chain issue. You know, figuring it out with the truck drivers, figuring it out how to get it from, you know, that country to this country. And I think part of it is going to be that we start manufacturing some of the stuff here, first of all. And I really do believe that we need to change some of these laws with the truck drivers. I mean, it really makes no sense. You know, first of all, you have to be 21. Okay. So you can't really choose it as a career straight out of high school. But you can carry a gun and join the military, and you can become an LPN, a nurse, at 18. We have a program down the road from me. It's a 9-month program to be an LPN. So you can literally have people's lives in your hands. You know, maybe we should look at this a little bit more carefully. Allow them to take mental health medications, you know, instead of saying, no, you can't take anything for anxiety or depression. You can only have alcohol because they do all those drug tests. And that's what happened, you know, when 45 took over, right? At the beginning of the pandemic, one of the things that he did was he let go 60,000 truck drivers because he went all the way back. If they had ever done a drug in their life, that's it, they're gone. And then what happened was all the schools closed. The driving schools closed because we're in a pandemic. And so then people couldn't get their license, you know, and there's so many different ailments that can easily be managed, but it keeps you from being a truck driver. And so I think we hold them to such a high standard, and I get it. I mean, they're driving these enormous, heavy vehicles that can do a lot of damage. I get it. But at the same time, we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot too. So I do think that's going to get better. Let's take a look at that. You know, how are we going to get our grocery stores stocked? You know, things into Walmart and Target. How are we going to get our shelves stocked and get the things that we need? Is that going to get better? Because I really do believe it's going to. Oh, the cards are kind of jumpy with this one. Lots of energy. Okay. Interesting. Haha. Okay, so we get the devil, right? A very sinful card, but it's also a card of being chained down. And so I think we do need to change the way we do things. We are chaining ourselves down with some of these laws, with sending everything overseas. You know, we're like I said, I feel like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. The obstacle is, you know, not doing business here in our own country. You know, the King of Wands is like the ultimate entrepreneur. Maybe we're not leaning on the entrepreneurs enough. However, things slowly start to get better. You know, out of all the knights, no, he's not the fastest, right? Those 4 hooves are planted, but he is steadfast. He is reliable. He is grounded. And this is a card that talks about money. So yeah, I think things are going to get better. And then we get the card of victory and triumph. Like somebody taking that leadership position and saying, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's do it. And so I think it's going to get better, but I think we have to change some of the ways that we do things, right? You know, it's a broken system. We need to fix it. I also see an increase in jobs in America that have good wages and good benefits. So I do think the job situation is going to improve. Let's take a peek at, you know, how that's going to go. I don't think people are willing to settle anymore. You know, that's the whole thing. And I think that's what employers are starting to see for the first time ever. They're starting to see that people would rather just quit their job than to put up with some of this that's going on. So let's take a look at American jobs. So right now we're sort of like in the unknown, right? We're in the dark. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. And, that's okay. And also too, that a lot of these employers are not seeing things clearly. You don't see things clearly in the moonlight. And so I suspect that is going to be changing. The obstacle, there's a lot of employees walking away. And the funny thing is about this card, all those cups are upright. They're full. Nothing bad happened. They just walked away. But then look, now we get the opposite. We get the opposite of the moon. We get the sun. We get enlightenment. We get a new beginning. That baby talks about a new beginning, a new future. And so things start to change. And then here we go. Everyone's content and happy. And, these cups are also upright and full. But this also tells me too, where we're getting some cups here, that this could have a lot of emotions behind it too. That this could be a bit emotional for, for everyone involved. Because I'm sure even the employers, right? They're used to making these big profits and taking it all home and not sharing it with their employees, right? And the last one that I wanted to share with you for 2022 is I do believe that there is going to be a breakthrough for Parkinson's. And I've gotten this message like a few months ago. So I'm going to say there's something going on with it. I feel like it has more to do with light therapy than a particular pill. But let's take a look, because I know some of you have loved ones that have Parkinson's, but I do think there is going to be something positive with that. Oh, and I had a card jump out. Okay. Oh, okay. Actually, there was 2 cards that jumped out. So this is kind of perfect. All right. So I'm going to just stop shuffling there because this is perfect. Okay. So, the sun card again, the card of enlightenment, the card of a new beginning, a new future. The obstacle has more to do with money. Because you know what? They are working on it. I know they're working on it. I can feel that they're working on it. And it's not like, say, I have a vested interest personally with Parkinson's. It's not like I have a loved one or something. So I feel like this message is definitely legit, because I don't have any strong emotions tied to this disease over other diseases. But like I've said before, light therapy wouldn't make people a lot of money, would it? People make money from pills, selling pills. So I do think that's the obstacle. But wishes and dreams coming true. The star card, when you wish upon a star. But this is also a card of balance. She has 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on the ground. And so it's also a card of like balance and harmony. And so I think things are going to get better. And then we get another major arcana card. We get the Magician, and he's all about taking control and working his magic to create and manifest a future he desires. And so I do see something going on with Parkinson's in 2022. So let's finish up with doing a 3-card pull from the Fairy Tarot. And I thought instead of pre-picking the cards like I normally do, I'm going to let Spirit completely pick these cards. And then you can pick which one you feel speaks to you. Okay, and I'm just going to take the top 3 cards. Okay, so take a deep breath, center yourself. And this wants to be a subconscious exercise. Like, you don't want to consciously think about it. Just go with your gut. Are you drawn to 1, 2, or 3? Okay, here we go. Card 1 is the Strength card. It's a really pretty card in this deck. You have the lion and the lamb. And it says, the grace and inner strength needed to overcome challenges. The power of kindness and forgiveness. Time to embrace how wonderful you are. So what I would say is you are stronger than what you realize. You have more courage than what you realize. Don't sell yourself short, okay? Okay, number 2, 5 of Summer. Pretty fairy there. And it says, trust that there is a reason for everything that happens. I truly believe that. I don't believe we live in chaos at all. Remove yourself from the negative emotions of others. So get rid of those toxic people, focusing on that which frightens or worries you. Yeah, sometimes, you do have to confront your fears. Like I always say, feel the fear, but do it anyways, as long as it's like something that you've done your research on, right? But you also don't want to dwell on your fears either. You want to be able to conquer your fears. And I still say tapping is a great way to do that. And thirdly, the Lover's card. True love that is long lasting. Choices made from the heart, a return to good health. So if you've been having health issues, this card is saying things are going to get better. If you are in a committed relationship, then it's going to be, steady and steadfast and loving and kind, and it's going to grow. And if you're single and you've been wanting someone, well, this could be the year that you find that someone. So, all right, everyone, it was a pleasure making this video for you. I hope everyone has a fantastic and beautiful 2022. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye.